Welcome to another album ranking, and today you guys voted for it. It is At the Gates, one of my favourite melodic death metal bands, one of my favourite bands I've seen live. They just put on a fucking hell of a show. I was at front row, my neck was almost broke. So good, every single song they have I think is fantastic, but we have to rank them. We have to put them in some sort of order. Even though I like all the albums, I have to kind of rank them, and this isn't going to be super typical. And let's start with my least favourite, but it's still pretty fucking good. With Fear I Kiss the Burning Darkness. One of the best album titles by At the Gates. But in regards to the actual music, I still love it. It has that kind of earlier, rawer, more intense At the Gates sound. More like one of the most intense melodic death metal bands and albums you can actually hear, aside from my next one. And I do love that about it, but if I'm being honest, the sound I prefer for melodic death, or just music in general, you know, because this is a biased list, biased as fuck. The music I prefer is a slower kind, not as intense, more methodical. So that might come into play with my top ones. This is still a fantastic melodic death metal album from one of my favourite bands of all time, and there's so many killer songs on here. Raped by the Light of Christ. what a great name that one is. The Burning Darkness. Oh, the title track. Fuck, The Burning Darkness is super killer. It's one of my favourite songs by them, and it's on this album. You know, I have nothing but good things to say about this album. It just falls short because the sound of it, you know? It's got that early, intense sound that I prefer, the more methodical, more, I don't want to say groovy, more, you know, melodic sound for the later albums. So yeah, it's going here. And that leads me into my next one, which is The Red in the Sky Is Ours. And take what you said about that one and, you know, copy and paste it. Control-C, Control-V onto this one, because similar problems, you know, it is that more intense sound. But I think on this album, it just feels rawer and it's more intense than the latter one I was talking about. This feels more intense, more raw, just more aggressive, and I like it for that. You know, because if you're gonna go aggressive, gonna go intense, then may as well dial it all up to 11. And this album is dialed all the way up to fucking 15. It's crazy. I mean, from the first song, the title track, and then the acoustic part, it's fucking fantastic. What a way to open an album. Kingdom Gone, Through the Gardens of Grief. There's like, it's hit after hit. There's no bad songs in this album. You know, I can't fault this album for anything. This is all just personal preference again, and this is a similar kind of sound, bit more edgy, bit more raw, and I prefer it for that, but it just doesn't hold a candle, for me personally, to the mid-era and the later era. It just doesn't. And I know some people don't like the later era. Well, fuck you. I think it's fantastic, so let's move on. Next up, Terminal Spirit Disease, and this is when the sound shifts. From this album onwards, the sound shifts into a more melodic, typical melodic death metal sound. And I prefer this. I prefer the sound on this album a lot more. The problem I have with this album, and the reason now it's not higher, is that there's like 6 songs on the fucking album, and then the rest live songs? What is up with that? I think they had time constraints and they had to like throw some shit on her, so they put some live songs on it, which is good. I love a good live album, but not when it's in a normal album, you know what I mean? I'd rather have a full live album, not a mismatch of normal songs and live songs. But luckily, the songs on this one, oh, they're killer. All the songs are fucking killer. Terminal Spirit Disease, they love to write amazing title tracks, and this is one of them. Forever Blind, there's too many good songs. I mean, there's only 6, but they're all kick-ass. This is a fantastic album. You know, put this on all the time. It's great from start to finish. It's melodic as fuck, it's groovy as fuck. It's one of the best. And yeah, I adore it. What can I say? I adore it. But it can't be number 1. It can't be number 1 because there are some others which I just prefer a little bit more. Next up, As We Drink from the Night Itself. This is the... Yeah, you're gonna like hit me for this. This is the first album I heard by them. So instantly I was hooked. I was late to the At the Gates party. I was more into Dark Tranquillity and Flames for ages. And then At the Gates, late bloomer, but now it's my favourite of the 3. And because of this album, got me into them. I love Again, this is the sound that I love from At the Gates. It's more methodical, it's doomier, it's got more soul in the songs. I know that's kind of a buzzword, but to me, it feels like that. Along with another album, it feels soulful. It feels soulful. And if I'm going to put an album on by At the Gates, it's either going to be this one or the other two. You know? Generally speaking, it's going to be this one or the other two. I got the shirt for this album. I saw them on this tour. Palace of Lepers is amazing. To Drink from the Night itself is one of my favourite songs in melodic death metal. Daggers of Black Haze. Oh, it's dripping with atmosphere. This album's dripping with atmosphere. It's dark, it's moody. It's one of my favourites of all time, and I wanted to put it one, if I'm being honest. Loads of people hate it. Too slow, too boring, but I think it has like an Insomnium kind of quality, so I fucking adore it. I love this album. I get it. I'll give it a fucking 10. I'm not a reviewer. You know, I just recommend albums. I'm going to give it a 10. If you don't like it, you can eat a bag of shit. So next up, At War with Reality. Again, another album that I absolutely adore, absolutely love. This is on par. Yeah, this one is on par with As We Drink from the Night itself. They're both a 10 for me. The next one's like an 11. But this is a 10 as well. Moody, doomy, methodical, similar sound to that I love. And you'd think that these two would be 1 and 2 for me. And I wanted to, but re-listening to everything, I'm like, I can't just... I can't put the classic album lower than any of the others, because it is basically this band's The Jester Race. You know, this band's Horacle. This band's The Gallery. You know? It's fucking flawless. But we're talking about At War with Reality, and this album is also flawless. Death in the Labyrinth, At War with Reality, City of Mirrors. There's a song for everything. I love the moody nature of this album. I love it. It's dripping with atmosphere. If they carry on like this with these two albums, gonna be even better. Gonna be even fucking better. And this is a comeback album. And it's this fucking strong. Hell fucking yes. Hell fucking yes. But that only leaves one, The King of the Castle, and this is pretty standard. You know, it's pretty standard. It's a classic. It's one of the best melodic death metal albums, if not the best melodic death metal album. I still think Jester Race. I really love Jester Race. One of the best ones then, probably my second favourite, it's got to be Slaughter of the Soul. Got to be Slaughter of the Soul. Every song is catchy, every song has a cool hook, every song has a cool melody, every song's punchy. It has that Terminal Spirit Disease flair, but amped up to like 100. Every song is headbangy, every song is catchy, every song is memorable, every song is amazing. This album's 10. This album's at 11. This album's a 20 out of 10. It doubles the score because of how good it is. And I overhype shit, but I wouldn't have it any other way. That's the way it is. Starting off with Blinded by Fear, come on. Slaughter of the Soul, Cold, Suicide Nation, like, you could pick any song from this and I'll be like, that's flawless. That's amazing. That's catchy. There's a reason this is in the top, 100 albums of all time. It's one of the best albums of all time. 100% should be on your playlist. 100% you should have a physical copy. It's that goddamn good. So that is my pick for my favourite At the Gates album. And I love all of them. I may have one last, but it's still fantastic. So this is a band with, I think, a near perfect discography. For me. You know, probably not for you, maybe. You might not like the newer stuff. I think it's near perfect. Let me know in the comments below. Rank them yourself. What's your favourite At the Gates album? And do you agree with my list? I'll be interested to see what you guys think as well. So let me know in the comments below, and we'll see you again on another Quest for Metal.